Hello and welcome to the Cornerstone video lecture. So in this lecture, I'm going to kind of walk you through a bit of an introduction to the program, and then as well, we'll go through the day one tasks. So first things first, when you're selecting which program to use, you're going to make sure you're clicking on the Cornerstone tutorial database, okay? You have to be using the tutorial for there to be any information entered into the software. So things like pre-existing clients or items and prices, etc. So for those things to exist in your program, you need to use the Cornerstone tutorial. So if you just use regular Cornerstone, it's not going to work for you. So Cornerstone tutorial, that's the one to select. When you open up tutorial, it's going to give you this screen. It's the login screen. So in order to log in, we're going to use the drop-down menu here, and we're going to scroll down to just the word Cornerstone. And then our password is CS. C as in corner, S as in stone. And then you can press OK, and then you'll be logged in. You can tell who's logged in by looking down here in the corner. The user is Cornerstone. All right, so this is kind of like the landing screen anytime that you open up Cornerstone. You'll see that we have up here the menu bar. So the menu bar has words. You can click on a word and there's a drop-down menu. So your activities list has a whole list of a whole bunch of different things in here that you can do. A lot of those things are reflected down here in your toolbar. So the toolbar are like little shortcuts to different tasks. And you can see if I hover on them, it tells me what that task is or what the activity is. So if I hover over the pooch, it tells me that's a patient. If I hover over the person, it tells me that's the client field. Okay. So there are also some keyboard shortcuts that we can use in Cornerstone. So we can press, I don't know actually if they'll be very effective right now. I can press F2. Will it do anything for me? F3. Okay, so if I press F3, it brings up my census list. So that's one of my keyboard shortcuts. F3 is the census. The census list tells me who is checked into the hospital. So I guess there's an existing patient checked in this tutorial, and it's Whitey Branch. So I'm not super concerned about that right now. So F3 will take me there. F2 is like a search, and F1, let's press F1 together. We'll see F1 opens the Cornerstone Help menu. So you can reference this and it can tell you things that you need to do. So how to enter client and patient information, using the appointment scheduler, etc. So it has lots of things in here for you in the help menu. There's two other ways to access the help menu. So one is to select from the menu bar help and then go to, whoops, help. Okay. Sorry. I just did not mean to do this. Okay, so we can go to the help, and then you can go for help on whatever, and it'll tell you for the different things. Okay, so we can drop down menu from help, or you see this little question mark in the toolbar. I can press that toolbar, it accesses the help as well. So there's three ways to access the help: from the menu bar, from the toolbar, and by pressing F1. So there's those three different ways. All right, so let's talk first of all about our patient clipboard. So you see this very first thing here, patient clipboard on the toolbar, looks like a clipboard. I can also go to activities and select patient clipboard. So often in Cornerstone, there's a couple different ways to do things. Whatever way you're most comfortable with is fine. I'll usually talk about both ways. So patient clipboard, or I can use the little toolbar. And it's going to open up this screen for us right here. So in this patient clipboard, I have the client area, which is up here. I have the client information area, which is here. I have the patient area, which is up here. I have the patient information. And then I have the patient's file, which is down here. So let's first of all, I'll just kind of give you a little bit of a tour. So if I click in this client ID section, if I know a client's ID number, I could just type one in. The likelihood of me having it memorized, though, isn't pretty great. So let's go ahead and press F2, and this brings up a search function, okay? So I can now search in here by client ID, by last name, by first name. I could do a phone number as well. I'm going to search for a last name, and I pre-searched so that I have a client to show you, so that I can walk you through the different areas in this patient clipboard. So Tiffany Acklin is my example patient I'm going to show you here, or client, I mean. So right up here in this client area, that gives me a lot of information I need to know right away about our client. So Tiffany Acklin is a pet owner, as opposed to like a farm owner or a like a breeder or a shelter or something like that. I can also see right away if this client owes us any money. So if they did owe us money, we probably don't want to, like if they've been sent to collections or something, we probably don't want to serve them. They're also a cash-only client, which means that we are not going to accept checks or credit card from them. They have to pay cash or debit right away. And they also have their phone number in there. So this will be their primary phone number, and we can see how many patients they had. So they've had 5 total, but active patients are 4. So that means that probably one of the patients that they used to have has passed away. So that's my client area right up here. So it tells me what client I'm dealing with. Over here is my patient area. So this gives me the information that which patient I'm dealing with. So she has Bogey, Odie. This is kind of, you can scroll down, Smokey, Sniffles, and then Skipper is the animal that's inactive. And then I can come over here to the client information, and you'll see that there's lots of little tabs. Hey, some of these tabs look familiar, don't they? They look like they're up here in the toolbar, right? So these are going to be the same functions as those top ones. It just kind of gives you a little bit of a summary. So right here with this like triangle and the exclamation mark, this is showing you what alerts are set for this client. So this client is cash only, so we're not going to let them pay by credit card. This client has 4 patients with overdue reminders. So that's showing us that that there's alerts. If I click here on the little person tab, it shows me my client's information. So name, address, who they were referred by, if they've referred anybody, if they're active, etc. This $sign shows us our account information. You can see that there are past invoices. I can scroll back through tons in here, right? So I can see past invoices in here. This is the reminders. It shows me what patients have reminders waiting for them. This 1-2, this shows us if there's any upcoming scheduled appointments. There's nothing scheduled for Tiffany Acklin at this time. This is reservations. So if they were doing boarding, or usually it's just for boarding, I guess grooming maybe. If there were any estimates that that we were waiting on them accepting or anything, they would show up in here. I have their phone numbers in here. We have a primary phone number. If they have like a cell phone or a work number, those would show up in here as well. And then this is our prompts or notes section. Sometimes people will leave a driver's license number. Maybe they'll have information if they have a preferred doctor, or just other info in here. And then this is any secondary names that are on the file. So, you know, we don't want to give out information to anybody that isn't named on the file. So Tiffany Acklin might be the primary owner, but like maybe she has a husband or a wife that she wants to have on the account as well. And then that way we can release information to that person too. Okay, so that covers our client information area. And then over here in our patient information area, we kind of have a similar idea, but things that are pertinent to the patient. So again, we have an alert that there are overdue reminders. If I click on the pup, we see the animal's information. So this is Bogey that we're on. Bogey's a Dalmatian. You can see that there's a picture of Bogey. We can find out information. This Dalmatian's 20 years old. I believe that. We can see their weight on there, their sex, their breed, etc. If I didn't want to look at Bogey, if I was looking for Odie, I just click on Odie up here in the patient list, and then I'm going to have Odie's information in the patient information. So make sure you have the correct patient selected when you're looking through these. I also have here now which reminders are due for this animal. So looks like way back in 2010, Bogey was due for Lyme disease, rabies, exam, distemper, and Bordetella boosters. So those are all the reminders that are entered. This shows us what tags or microchips the animal might have. So the microchip ID would go in here. If they have a rabies tag, that information is in here. The 1-2 again is the schedule. The little doghouse is the reservations. This check-in, the little arrow in the door, will tell you if the animal's checked into the hospital. Here I have the patient visit list. So the patient visit list is when the animal is in the hospital, all the things that we've done with the animal. So whether they're in for an appointment or hospitalization, we can keep track. So this is kind of like a holding section for charges. And then once we're complete with the visit, we can move the charges over into the invoice. So the patient visit list is kind of like a holding place. Here I have the estimate tabs. It'll tell me if I have any estimates waiting for this patient. Prompts or notes. This is a good place to check if the animal's allergic to anything, if there's any kind of medical alert, maybe the animal has diabetes or some kind of chronic illness, if they require a special diet, and temperament. This is key. We want to put in here if this animal's like really bitey or pretty aggressive or fractious. And then also vaccine reactions we can put in here as well. This little person, a little face, tells us what owners are associated with this animal. You can see here it's percentage, 100%. You can make like 50-50 or whatever, right, if someone has like joint custody of a dog. And then this referrals section, this is for if we've referred this animal to another doctor. And then lastly, you'll see down here, this is the patient's file. So we have a summary. This just includes everything. We've got weights in here. We've got visits that they've had and what, they've had Bordetella boosters, etc. We can see any alerts that happened. So they had a heartworm test. We can see these things in this section, in this summary. If we want to look at just text things, that's like the notes that the doctor may have entered. We can look at problems. So the animal was diagnosed with alopecia, which is hair loss. We can look at diagnostics that have happened. So we did a tapeworm inspection. We did a ear cytology, so different diagnostics that have happened. These are prescriptions, a list of just the prescriptions that have been sent home for the animal. And here's our medical notes. So these are like exam. So we can click on these to read them if we wanted. So this is just a comment. I'm just looking for like an exam or something. So it's just a little note in there. And then we have any lab work that's been done. Click over here. So nothing done in the lab. And then we have a list of vital signs. So by date and then the weight, and it looks like no one entered any other vital signs. Okay. So that is kind of just an overview of our patient clipboard. Just in this prescriptions section, there are a few things you can do in here. So one thing you can do in Cornerstone a lot is like right click, and you can see in here that I've got some prescription tasks. So one of them is prescribe. I can make a new prescription from this area if I hit prescribe. I can also view this existing prescription. I could renew this prescription. So if the doctor wanted to send this home again, we could. Also, if I noticed I made a mistake, I can correct the prescription. So let's say this one is for prednisolone, but maybe I realized after the fact it was supposed to be prednisone. So I can go back into this one and correct it. And I can also void it or just delete it altogether if maybe I filled a prescription and then the client declined the medication. So I could just void that prescription here. So there's 5 tasks you can do from the prescription tab. It is prescribe a new prescription, look at a prescription, renew it, change it or correct it, and delete it or void it. Okay, so that's our patient clipboard. So that's the one, this is honestly one of the windows that you're going to use the most. The other one that you're going to use the most is this 1-2, schedule for today. You can also go to activities and go to appointment scheduler and then go schedule for today. So there's 2 different ways that you can access it. So this is our appointment scheduler. This is where we are going to find all kinds of appointments scheduled for the doctors, for the technologists, if you have a groomer, for the groomer. So we got all kinds of different, so we have different doctors, and then overflow is kind of like if you need to, you know, if you have like a walk-in appointment or something, you can pop it into this section. If there's drop-off appointments, you can put it here. Technician appointments, you can put here. So you'll see that this is set up currently with like 10-minute slots. It doesn't really look like the matrix has been entered in. So the matrix is like you want to set up the matrix with your schedules so you can see where staff are blocked off. So you want to have like maybe some emergency slots. We want to block off lunch. If the doctor's not there from 8 till 10, we will block all this off. So usually we would have a matrix kind of entered. That's not something you need to worry about. That's usually like the office manager's job is to establish the matrix for each day. So we can navigate the a scheduler using these buttons down here. So I can go previous day and look at yesterday's. You'll see it's telling me I have old information, and it was a Sunday, so there's no hours. I can use next day to go to tomorrow or the day after or the day after that. I can use today to bump me back to today's schedule right away. And I can also use go to. Go to lets me select, did I not press it? There we go. Go to lets me pick a day. So let's say I had a client in today that needs to book a recheck in 2 weeks. I can just go to this, click forward and say, okay, 2 weeks from now is November 2nd. Does that day work for you? Great, let's do morning or afternoon and kind of go from there to book the appointment. I'm just going to pop back to today though. If you're not sure what day you're on, look right here, October 19th, 2020. So make sure you have today selected when you are booking appointments for that day. Make sure you have the correct day selected. Okay, I also have a couple action buttons to show you. So one is the Find button. The Find button allows you to search available appointments at specific times. So let's say someone wants to see Dr. Schultz any day in this date range. They can only come in the morning on Mondays, let's say. You can specify those things in here. So I'm looking for a Monday appointment anytime in the next 2 weeks, or I can change these if it's like, you know, if it's anytime in the next 1 week or the next month, I can change those. And then I can say what time, so I can give a range. And then you can search. I'm not going to bother hitting search because this isn't there's going to be no appointment scheduled, so it's just going to fill up this whole thing, and I don't want to do that because it'll kind of take forever. But feel free to do it on Feel free to do that on your own. I just don't want to waste time on the video doing that. So Find helps us find an appointment for a client at a specific time. I can also use Locate. Yes, I know those words sound kind of similar. They have similar meanings, but try to remember the difference between the two. Finding is finding an appointment for the client. Locate is locating the client. So if a client calls and says, oh, hey, I know I have an appointment scheduled for my dog, but I can't remember when it is. You can press this Locate button and you can search for the client ID. So I'm going to click in that client ID box and I'm going to press F2. I'm going to show you another thing. I can also double click in that box and it'll open up the search function as well. And then I can search for the name. So let's see, does Tiffany Acklin have any appointments? So I can select her in here and it'll show you what appointments are around. I mean, this is from 07, so that's an outdated appointment, but this is one that she likely never checked in for. So locate is locating a client's already existing appointment, and then find is looking for an appointment for a specific time. Okay, I'm just going to hit schedule here. So if I wanted to schedule a new appointment, I can go in here and do that from this screen, and we'll walk through that shortly. But I wanted to just show you something here. Oh, maybe I need to have a client entered already. Okay. Okay, so you can see in here we've got this primary, and we can scroll through here and you can see there's lots of different colors. So I think all of the practice management softwares have some kind of color coding so that you can look at a schedule and at a glance know what's coming in. So for instance, at my last clinic, we use color coding. So like a blue color was vaccine appointments, and green color was sick appointments. So you could always tell, like if you looked at a schedule and it was like solid blue, you're like, okay, it's probably going to be a pretty easy day today. If you look at a schedule and it's solid green, you're like, oh no, that's going to be a busy day because there's a lot of sick animals coming in. So you can kind of anticipate the flow of your day with these color codes, and it kind of really helps with that. No, I don't want to save that. Okay, and then if we want to book an appointment, I'm just going to show you that. If you want to book an appointment, you can just go to the time slot and the specific doctor. So let's say I have someone that wants to see Dr. Carson at 3 o'clock. I can do two things to open the scheduler. I can double click on it and it opens this section up. I can also right click and hit schedule. It opens this section up. I can also go over here to the schedule button and it opens the screen up, okay? And then we can just put in this information. So client ID, again, I can double click or I can press F2. It brings up my appointments, my client search. Patient ID, again, I just pressed F2 to open up this search screen and it shows me all of her available dogs. So I'm going to go with Bogey. I'll select that one. And it comes up with any patient alerts. So if there's things on here, we want to read these before we just hit OK so that we can share this information with the clients. Be like, oh, actually, it looks like Bogey has a few overdue reminders. So, you know, he's overdue for vaccines. And we can see what those reminders are right here, too. So I'm not going to bother hitting confirm since I'm booking the appointment for today. You would use like confirmation if you call to remind appointments if they booked them a while back. And I don't know, let's just say he's coming in for canine wellness. This has an alert too. If someone's coming in for a wellness exam, it's reminding you to ask them to bring a fresh stool sample. So these are reminders that your practice can set. And then it alerts the person making the appointment, reminds them to remind the owner of these things. You can also put in a secondary reason. You'll see for this drop-down, there isn't any secondary reasons, but you can just type one in. So let's say they're coming in for wellness and they need vaccines. This is going to suggest time units based on what your primary reason is. So you can see it's selected 3 time units, and the time units are 10 minutes. So we're scheduling right now a 30-minute appointment. So I might want to change that sometimes. So I can up it here or, up it or down it here. So maybe I know that Tiffany Acklin is like a really chatty client. I might want to go ahead and give an extra 10 minutes there so that we have a 40-minute appointment so that the doctor doesn't go over time. And then your prefix here is just your initials. So in this case, it's CS because of Cornerstone. That's what we're signed in as. but that just lets whoever's looking at this appointment later on know who scheduled it. I can also put notes in here, so maybe client will bring proof of previous vaccines. So maybe they've been getting vaccines done at a different clinic, so they're going to bring proof of that so we know what they're due for. And this little area is kind of cool. We can use this area. So let's say Tiffany Acklin reminded us on the phone, like, oh, actually remind me, I wanted to pick up some food while I'm there too. I can put those items in here. And then it reminds us when they come in that they need that food. So then we can send that home with them. Okay, I'm not going to show you how to do that just now. We'll do that in I think it's in a couple days. We'll set that one up. Okay, so then I can hit OK and it'll save my appointment. So you can see it color-coded it. It's pink. You can see my initials of who booked it. You can see the client's name, pet's name, any notes that the scheduler put in here. Okay, and then their phone number as well. These little like ticks show you when the doctor is specifically needed in the appointment. And otherwise, if you hover on this, it shows you all the information as well. Okay. If I check in this client, I don't know if I really show you checking in right now. Maybe. I guess so. I'll show it to you. So if we're going to check in this client, we can click that button. So we check in a client when they arrive. So in here, we can kind of look through these things and then hit check in. I'm just going to do that real quick just to show you then. If I hover over this, you see how it says checked in the second line, adult canine wellness, and then checked in. So we can see that that bogey is in the hospital. Also, if I press F3, remember my census list? F3 opens the census list and it shows me who's checked in the hospital. So here we can see bogey is there. Okay. So now let's say like Tiffany Acklin calls back and she's like, oh wait, I can't make a 3 o'clock appointment. I need to change it to 4 o'clock. Is that okay? Yes, we can do that. So there are a few different things that we can do in the screen. We can update the appointment. So we can right click and press update. We can change anything in here that we need to. So I don't know, maybe the owner told us something else in here. And they're going to bring a stool sample. We can type that in and press OK, and that updates. Oh, shoot. And that updates the entry. Okay, so sometimes this happens. You get this alert in Cornerstone. It says cannot proceed. Record has been modified or deleted by another user. This is a super annoying glitch in the tutorial. If you just hit OK and then cancel, hit save changes, no. And you'll see, hold on. So and then double check and see if it actually saved your change, because sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, well, I'm going to abandon this because I don't want to waste a ton of time on this. But if that does happen and if it keeps happening, sometimes you need to exit out of the tutorial and come back in. It's super annoying. I don't know why it glitches like that. I promise you, actual Cornerstone software doesn't do that unless someone is legitimately in the record. So in that case, it's not going to let you in because someone else is doing it. These tutorial databases aren't linked to any other computer. It's only on yours. It's like a fake version. So sometimes it glitches. Okay, so we can update the appointment there. We can also move the appointment. And you'll see on the sides here, we have this same function so that we can right click on the appointment or we can come over here and press update. So if we want to move the appointment, I can select this. I can press the move button. Now it's highlighted. I can move over to 4 o'clock. It'll say, do you want to move the appointment? I say yes. Oh my God, I don't know why it keeps doing this. Anyway, I might just abandon this right now and come back to it when we're scheduling the appointment for our fake patient. We can also just straight up delete. Whoops. So I can highlight it and then hit delete. Oh, right, I forgot that I had checked them in. That's probably why. Anyways, okay. we'll come back to this, and we can check in here as well. So that's kind of just an overview of our appointment scheduler. So now let's walk through, okay, so now I've kind of given you the overview I wanted to show you. Now our plan is to go through a scenario, and I'll show you how to do some tasks. So how I've laid out this course is like kind of, today's like day one tasks are very basic. We're going to create a new client and a patient. Then we're going to schedule an appointment. We're going to check them in. We're going to create a patient visit list. Then we're going to charge them and collect payment. So it'll be a very basic version of our tasks for today. And then you can like practice those tasks. So basically what I have is I have a daily practice tasks sheet. There's day 1, 2, and 3. I do the exact same tasks in the exact same order, but just with different names. And then I give you another separate thing with names for you to use, okay? So, oh, one other thing I wanted to show you. So right now you might be thinking, oh, how do I switch back to the other screen now? Well, you can go to Window, and you can look here. It shows me that I have the patient clipboard and I have today's schedule opened. So I can just select the patient clipboard to bring me back to the screen. I could also select from Window Cascade, and then it makes like these small windows and shows me everything I have open. So that's an option as well. I can just press the clipboard and it'll open up a fresh clipboard, but you'll see I still have Tiffany's patient clipboard, I have the scheduler, and this new patient clipboard open. And then I can just select which ones I want by doing that. Okay. So I am going to right now close Tiffany Ackland's, and I'm going to close the scheduler. And heck, I'm going to go ahead and close that one too. So I'm starting from a fresh slate here for you guys. So ring, 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 ring. Your phone's ringing, you answer it. Hello, thanks for calling Robertson Animal Hospital. This is Laura speaking. How can I help you? And it is someone saying that they have a patient that they'd like to bring in that's never been to our hospital before. They say, okay, do you have any pets that have been in our hospital before? No, they have not. All right. So first things first, we're going to have to create a new client. So I'm going to open up my patient clipboard. Remember, I can do that in two ways. I can go to the toolbar and press the clipboard, or I can go to activities and select patient clipboard. So in the patient clipboard, first things first, the very first thing I always want to do before entering a new client is search and see if they actually do exist in our system. So many people, I don't know how they forget where they've been, but they don't remember if they've ever been to your hospital before. So this is a good way that you can check. So again, I can double click in this client ID space, or I can press F2. It brings up my search function. So I ask the gentleman on the phone, and what's your name? So I can search it. And his name is Greg Johnson. So I have typed in the name Johnson. Also, do you see this box here, include inactives? I want to click that because I want to know if Greg Johnson has been here before and we've just inactivated the file. So that's a possibility as well. So I've typed in my name and I've hit tab, and that's searching, but nobody's coming up. So that assures me that Greg Johnson has not in fact been here before, and I can go ahead and create a new patient client file for him. And I'm going to do that by pressing this button, New. So it brings up the client information page, and I'm going to enter information in here. So first things first, you see right now our client ID number is highlighted. This client ID number is automatically generated by the system. It just assigns the next available number. Sometimes people are like, I don't understand. I'm clicking. It's not working. I can't move down and enter anything. It's because you're locked up here in this client ID. You need to press tab before you can do anything, or you're just going to stay locked. If, while you're up here, you press a button, like a number or the space bar, or you delete it, then you just hit cancel and go back to new and start again. Because what you did is deleted the client ID and now you don't know what the number was. So press tab. Tab is your friend in Cornerstone. You're going to tab and then you'll be able to open up stuff. So if you're not able to select any of these to type, it's because you probably haven't pressed tab off the client ID. So first things first, we're going to gather some information about the client. So this is going to be an active client. Greg Johnson is a pet owner. You can see we have options here, right? So are they boarding, breeding? Are they an employee? Are they a farm pet patient? Breeder, that kind of thing. But they have a pet, so they're a pet owner. And they are a client. They are not a barn and they're not a trainer. They're a client. So Greg Johnson identifies as male and chooses Mr. as his title. His name is Greg, and his last name is Johnson. So we'll type those things in here. If ever you're unsure about how to spell someone's name, ask. Address is 468 Wellington Crescent. Postal code is R3W 1N2. I can press tab, by the way, to go through these things quicker instead of having to use my mouse to select each field. The city is Winnipeg. You'll see for the states they have like drop-down menu. I can't remember if it's mixed in there or not. So MB for Manitoba. I'm not going to bother putting an email address in, but if you have a client that wants to include their email, maybe you guys send out email reminders, you can collect an email address as well. I'm not really bothering with that here. I also want to make sure I get Greg's phone number. So in this phone number section, I can double click and it brings up the phone section. So where is it? Okay, so 204-339-4264, and this is his home phone number. And then I can press OK. So automatically it's given that as their primary, but he tells me, oh, I also have a cell phone. So it's 204-999-1234. And I can put in here, this is a cellular. And he says, you know what, the cell is actually probably the better way to get a hold of me. I can go ahead and tick primary phone number. And now the cellular is listed as the primary. Okay, so if he says whatever's the best way to get a hold, that's going to be the primary. So I can go into the prompts and notes section in here. So I'm going to need to put who created the client, and it's CS because, again, our username is Cornerstone. So CS I'm going to put in there, but he didn't share any of this other information with me, so I didn't ask for any of that other information. If you didn't put this in, it will probably, when you press OK, it won't let you, pardon me, save it until you've put that CS in there. For referrals, you do have to put referral information in here. So we're just going to use promo right now as our referral. So that's the summer radio promotion, right? If they were referred by a client, I can double click on there and I can search for a client. So let's say Tiffany Acklin had referred him. I can put that in there and it'll say Tiffany Acklin. But we're just going to go with, oh, whoops. I'm just going to go with promo for now. And then I press tab and that updated the information. And then we have our AR information. AR stands for accounts receivable. So it's in here that we can say, is this person tax exempt? No, barely anybody is. We can also select their credit code. So are they cash only? Will we accept cash, check, or credit card from them? So either way, I'm going to go cash only for this guy. And then are there monthly charges, finance charging and billing charges? Yes, we can just leave those checked. And then if he does get a discount of some type, we would select it in here. So I'm just looking to see. So let's say he's a senior citizen. So we'll give him a senior citizen discount. He did say he was retired, didn't it? No, never mind. That was something else. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm going to say he's a senior citizen, so we're going to give him 10% off. So this means that whenever he has a bill, he'll just automatically get that 10% off. So the preferred discount is usually some kind of like fancy client. So maybe they, I don't know, maybe they're like maybe it's like your parents or something, right? So maybe staff members are allowed to give a preferred discount to someone, or it's a really good client, so we give them 10% off. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK, and now I have saved my client. So you can see Greg Johnson is listed down here, so I can press that and hit select, and that'll open it up. So I've got my client information here, or sorry, my client area up here. I've got my client information down here. But wait, no patients. We need some patients for this guy, right? So I can click in this patient area and right click. And when I right click, I can press new, and I'll be able to enter a patient in here now. So again, if you're trying to click and enter any information and you can't access anything, it's because right here you have not pressed tab. Go ahead and press tab, and then you'll be able to enter that information. So Greg Johnson's cat's name is Frisky. This is an active pet. You'll see we have the options of deceased or inactive. Obviously, if they're bringing it in, it's active. This is a family pet. Again, you have options here. Maybe it's a working animal or breeding, etc. But this is a family pet. And Frisky is a spayed female. So I can select spayed female from the sex drop-down menu. So sometimes clients know the birthday of their animal, in which case we can put it in here. If we don't know the birthday, the client might just say, oh, they're about 5 years old. So I can put, oh, that says 50. Let's not have a 50-year-old cat. So 5 years, and you'll notice I'm just going to press tab. You'll see that it updates the birth date to give you like a year date birth date. Okay. Species, we have a whole big long list in here. We're going to say Frisky is a feline. Frisky is a domestic short hair. There is a drop-down menu. So if you start typing, it will show up in the list. It'll take you to like that section. So I want to put in domestic short hair, but I tried typing domestic and it wasn't showing up. So I tried short hair, and sure enough, it's short hair, comma, domestic. So domestic short hair. Color, again, there's a drop-down menu, but you can just even type black and white. And then markings, so what's something special about this cat? Let's say it is tuxedo. It's a tuxedo black and white cat. Okay. So I can also input a picture here. So in this square up here, I can right click and I can capture a photo. So I can do that from a file. So if you have like a camera at your place of work, I'm just looking to see if there's anything in here. Okay. Oh, pictures, there we go. Okay. We'll just go with one of these then. Well, let's go cat body at least. So you can pick any picture really and put it in there. I know sometimes people like to go to Google and find the associated cat breed or whatever, like pick a picture that actually looks like them. But you can pop something in there to show me that you can put in a picture. Okay, so we've included a photo, we've entered this information, so we need to put in a couple more things. So this animal does have a microchip and a tattoo. So the microchip number is going to go in this section here, microchip. It's 924, followed by 6 zeros, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 29742. And registration, this is where I've been putting the tattoo information. So AA99 is Frisky's tattoo number. And I think that's everything I want to put in this section. Yeah, it looks like it. So letter reminders, if I knew that the cat is due for some things, I can put them in here. You know, actually, sorry, I'm just going to come back to that for a moment. I'll come back to this in just a second. So prompts and notes, we do want to put something in here. So under behavior or temperament, we can put in that we want to move this cat in a carrier only because they will bolt. So this is a cat that will run away. The owner told us this over the phone, so I'm putting it under temperament so that we know. So we can put things in here, like there's some dogs that are really like nervous, and they will, we call it submissive peeing. They'll just like urinate because they're nervous. So often we'll, you know, have that on the file so we know to have towels ready so that the cat or the dog isn't peeing all over themselves, right? Referrals, we don't need to do anything here right now because this would be if we're sending a referral to a doctor at a different hospital. Okay, so now I've entered all that information for Frisky. So I could save it now here, press OK if I wanted to, but I am going to duck back to this letter reminders section. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I am just going to hit save, and I'll come back to this. And the reason for that is sometimes I find this is a spot that Cornerstone glitches a lot. So you can see now we've entered Frisky. So Frisky now shows up in the patient visit list. And you can see that there's some alerts. So we don't have a wait for Frisky. Well, obviously, Frisky hasn't come in yet. We also see that there's no reminders for Frisky. And we see that temperament note that we had put in to move in a carrier because he'll bolt. Or she will bolt. Sorry, she's female. Okay, so then our next step is to enter any letter reminders. So we can do this in two ways. We can come right here to the little bow tied around a finger. That's the reminders tab. We can right click and press update. We could also go back into here and press update. So I'm right clicking and pressing update and go into this letter reminders section. But I'm going to go through here just to show you that it brings up just this section. So we want to enter letter reminders for vaccine notices because typically hospitals will print reminders and they're like little postcards and then you send them out. So in here we can put our reminders. So this cat is due for FVRCP booster. So I can press in my item ID, I can double click or I can press F2 and it'll bring up the search function. So F2 is for searching. And I can search by description or item ID. Who on earth has their item IDs memorized? No one. So go ahead and press description. And then the description I want to search for is FVRCP. FVRCP, the booster. So here's the booster. So when I'm looking in here, some things that can tip me off if I have the right thing. S is a service. I is an inventory. This thing costs $0. FVRCP vaccine, this is just an entry for inventory purposes. I want to select one of the services that have a charge because I want to collect money on this service. So I can select the booster, first vaccine, or second vaccine. We know this is a booster, so we're going to select booster. So it's popped in now that we have the booster under the description. We need to now put in the date that it's due. And guess what? It's due today. How convenient. I don't need to change that. If I did need to change it, I could just change the date to whatever date it is. And then I pressed tab to get to the staff ID. I'm putting in CS because again, that's my initials as the user Cornerstone. And then I pressed tab to finish that up and get to the next line. If there were other vaccines that were due, we could put them in here as well. So the callback tab, this is for things like reminder phone calls. So, or like check-in phone calls. So if we wanted to see how an animal's doing after surgery, that would be in the callbacks. And then the vaccine reminders go under letters. And then we can just go ahead and press OK, and you'll see that now it is saved under that reminder section. So on your sheets, it'll ask you to record client and patient ID. So that's a number, and you'll find that here. So client ID for Greg Johnson is 171. Frisky, if you click on the little patient information, the little head, you'll see Frisky's ID is right here, 277. Okay. So we've now officially created a client and a patient. So we are good to go to our next step, which is scheduling the appointment. So I can open up our scheduler in two different ways. I can either press the Toolbar button for the schedule, or I can go to the Activities drop-down menu and select Appointment Scheduler, or Schedule for today. So now we are looking at our schedule, and we see that, because this is a super booked up day, obviously, we see that Dr. Schulz is available at 3 p.m. for an appointment for Frisky here. So I'm going to schedule that appointment. I can right click and hit schedule. I think I can double click. Yeah, I can double click and it opens up. Or I can select the time I want and select this button up here, which is schedule. Either way, it's going to open up this new appointment window. So client ID, I can double click or press F2 to open the search. Greg Johnson I've been working with here, so it's right up here under my, I don't even have to search, it just shows up. So I'm going to select Greg Johnson. It's giving me a reminder that Greg Johnson is a cash-only client. I'm okay with that. Okay. And then patient ID, it has generated 277 because that is Frisky's patient. He only has the one patient, so that's fine to do. But if you needed to select one of already existing patients, if there's a few, you can press F2 and you'll see all the patients that they have. So I'm going to select Frisky and press select. Again, it's going to bring up my patient alerts. I need to get a weight and I need to move this cat in a carrier. Okay. So I'm not going to bother doing anything for confirming because they're booking the appointment for today. Why is this animal coming in? Because they need vaccines. So I'm going to scroll down and find vaccinations, nice and pink. So there's another reminder here if you're booking a vaccination appointment to remind the client to bring in a fresh stool sample. So I could say that over the phone. And then secondary reasons, this cat's coming in for FVRCP. There we go. So I just typed that in. So you can see for the vaccine appointment, it automatically scheduled 2 time units. I'm okay with that. My prefix is CS. And remember how I talked about we want to know what time the doctor will, like how much of the time the doctor is actually involved. So if we need staff time, we can click both of those. This is how much time the doctor actually has to be in the appointment. So here I have that staff time is 2, so I just ticked off the 2 button. And then that is it. I'm not going to put any other notes, and they didn't say anything about picking anything up, so I'm not going to do anything else. I'm just going to hit OK. So now you can see that Frisky is scheduled for 3 o'clock with Dr. Schulz. If I hover on it, I can see that it's for vaccines, specifically FVRCP. Okay, so now the owner has shown up and they brought Frisky with them and they are ready to go. So let's go ahead and check this patient in. So I can do this in 2 ways. I can right click and hit check in, or I can have this appointment selected, go over to the bar here and press check in. And that brings in my check in screen. So while we're checking in the appointment, I could like collect a weight, things like that. I could put the weight entry in here. So let's say I did that. The cat weighs, this is in pounds, so let's say it's 10 pounds. I want to review my information. This is a great time, especially if it's like an existing client that we haven't seen in a while, to confirm that all the information is up to date still. I can put some additional notes in here. So if there's other things I wanted to know, I can also put in an alert. So those little windows that have been opening up, those are alerts. I can put in an alert that sticks with this appointment only and then is like deleted after this appointment leaves. So I'm going to put in an alert of use gloves because this cat was pretty feisty when I was trying to weigh him, or no, her, sorry. So I want to warn the next people that are going to deal with this cat that we should be using gloves with them. And then I want to print a travel sheet. So to do that, you see this little button here that says travel sheet? I'm going to press that. So travel sheets are used, the doctor can check off everything that they do while that patient is in clinic. So travel sheets are basically all the charges that could be associated with certain categories. So if we were doing a dental, if we were doing surgery, this patient is in for vaccines, so I'm going to print a wellness travel sheet. And you'll see on your daily tasks that it tells you what type of travel sheet to select. So I'll just pick wellness. I can preview it. And I can take a picture of it for, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but for your test, you're going to have to take screenshots of different things. So this is something that you'll have to take a screenshot of. I'm just going to hit cancel. I could hit print. This isn't hooked up to any printer though, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to hit close at this time. But if I was in a clinic, I would hit print. And then I can go ahead and press check in because I've now officially checked in this cat. They're here, they're ready for the appointment. Do I want to print it? No, I don't need to. I don't have a printer set up to this anyway. Okay, so while Frisky is in the hospital here, we're going to use next the patient visit list to keep track of what's been going on in the hospital with Frisky. So PVL, patient visit list. So again, I can open this up by pressing this little folder, or I can go to activities and go down to PVL, patient visit list. And that opens up this section. Again, oh my God, I can't click on anything. This is so annoying. Hit tab. You have to hit tab to get out of this and populate the information for the client or the patient, okay? So this is my patient visit list. Patient visit list is basically like a temporary invoice. We're just putting the things on there that we've done in the hospital, and it's just like a saving place. And then we can officially put it onto the invoice after, okay? So we're going to add some things to our invoice, to our PVL, or patient visit list. The first thing we're going to add is examination with vaccines. How do I do that? I can go under this item ID. I can press F2 to search, or I can double click, and it'll open up my search section. Again, I can search by description or client or item ID. I'm going to use description, and I'm going to put examination. And I'm looking for examination with vaccines, and here it is. On your daily tasks and on the test, I have confirmed and written the items exactly how they are written in this search function. So it should be pretty easy to find the things you need. So I'm looking for examination with vaccines. I'm going to hit select. How many exams are they having? 1. And I can tab over here now if I want, or I can just click on this staff, and then you'll put in your staff initial, so CS. And then you can go to the next white line here, okay? If you put in CS on your first line the first time, it'll auto-populate CS for the rest. If you forget to do that, you're going to have to go back in and put CS for every single one. Okay, so examination with vaccines. Then we're doing that booster, right? So we can F2 to search or double click, and I'm searching FVRCP, and I'm looking for the booster, so that's this guy here. Select, and you see how CS auto-populated here? How many boosters are they having? Just 1. And then while they were here, Greg said, hey, you know what? I have a hard time cutting Frisky's nails because she's so darn frisky. Any way that you can do a nail trim? Yes, yes we can. F2, search for nail trim. There it is. Select. So now we have everything that's happened on this visit. So the patient has been in for an exam with the doctor. They had their booster and they had a nail trim. So at this point, I can just hit OK, and it'll save those things in my patient visit list. So when I want to open this up again and look and see what's on there, I can double click. I can look for Frisky, and it'll fill in again. I can also see, hold on. So if I go window and I go back to my patient clipboard, I can see Frisky's patient visit list right here. So I can click on the patient visit list tab, and it shows me what things are sitting in the visit list. But now it is time to actually invoice and have Greg Johnson pay his bill. So I'm going to open up that patient visit list by clicking on the icon in the toolbar. I can press tab, and that will open up my patient visit list. If I have anything else I need to add in, I can do that. What I'm trying to say by saying like you can press OK and exit and come back in is that you can make changes periodically. So often that happens. Someone comes in, it seems like a fairly straightforward appointment. You can put on the things you need. But then maybe they have some blood work, and so you add in the blood work. Then it turns out that they're sick, so they need medications. You can add in the medications. So this is like a work in progress, the patient visit list. It's like a holding area for charges. But now that we've got everything accumulated on this bill and I'm ready to have him pay, I can go ahead and hit invoice. When I press invoice, it is now posting the information to the invoice. So there's no longer anything in Frisky's patient visit list. I'm going to show you by opening it up and show you. So now if I open it up, it's just empty because everything from the patient visit list has moved over to the invoice now. Okay. So in this invoice, I'm going to just double check that everything's correct. So I have exam, I have booster, I have nail trim. Yep. Okay. No missed charges. It is for Frisky. Yes. Okay. I also want to make note of the credit code, cash only. So I want to make sure I'm not going to take a credit card or something from this guy because he's cash only. So at this point, I would say, oh, Greg, Mr. Johnson, I've got everything ready here for Frisky. And I'm going to go over the invoice with him. So Frisky was in for an examination with the doctor today. We did the FVRCP booster, and we also did a nail trim. So your total today, we can see right here, the balance due is $49.75. How would you like to pay? And he says, oh, can I write you a check? And I'll say, oh, sorry, actually, we don't accept, sorry, I don't know why that's selected. Sorry, we don't accept checks, but we can accept cash or debit. And he'll say, oh, yeah, okay, I've got some cash. So he's going to pay me in cash. Hold on. I just have a little thing here. It's hard to see. Okay, so I'm ready with this invoice, and I want to post the invoice. Posting means I'm ready to collect money on this thing. Okay, so I hit post, and it brings up this section. So once we've posted the invoice, we can't change anything on it. Posting makes it permanent. Okay, so we can look here. What are the tasks we're going to do when posting? Are we going to apply payments? Yeah, he's going to pay right now. So we want the payment screen to open up automatically. Do I want to print the invoice? Typically, yes, because we want to send home an invoice with clients. I'm not going to do that now, though, just because I don't have a printer set up. And do I want to check out the patient? Yes. Once Frisky's bill is paid, Greg's going to take Frisky home. So I don't need to leave her checked in the hospital. So we'll let her check out automatically. And then it shows you what messages are being put in. So it's giving you a thank you message, and I'm okay with that. So I'll go ahead and press OK. So now I have posted the invoice. Now I'm going to collect payment. So the payment screen comes up automatically. My cashier password, CS, Cornerstone. And then I'm going to need to press tab. So that will populate that it's the Cornerstone. So what is the amount that we're paying? Oh shoot, I can't remember when I looked at the bill. Well, here it is right here. Invoice total $49.75. So I can put in the amount $49.75 and I can press tab and that'll take me to payment type. I have American Express, Care Credit, I have cash, check, Discover, MasterCard, Visa. So he's paying in cash. However the client's paying, you just put that in. Cash. And then I can tab over. So you'll see now that the payment, so the invoice total is $49.75. New payment, $49.75. How much change am I giving this guy? None. He had exact change. Balance after payment, $0. We want to double check this. If I had put this in incorrectly, maybe I put, I don't know, $49.85, let's say. Oh, I did this way wrong, sorry. $49.85. You'll see, oh, never mind. I guess because this is cash, it just comes out as change, so it's all good. But anyways, you'll see how much change I owe him then. If he gave me 85 cents, I owe him 10 cents, and then the balance is $0. But I do want to check that because maybe I entered a number in incorrectly. Sometimes maybe you have some dyslexia or you look at the numbers backwards. You want to make sure that your balance is 0 so that you're paying it out correctly. And then I can go ahead and press post. So now it's applied the payment. It's showing up that check-in alert for me right now to use gloves. Right, that's right. We're done with Frisky now though, so I don't need to see that again. I'm going to hit close. And I'm going to just close out of this visit list. So now you can see that he's paid his bill. Oh wait, oh my gosh, what the heck? There's no information under this invoice section. And I know I just put in an invoice. Guess what? You need to refresh your client clipboard or your patient clipboard. To do that, you're going to go into this client area. This will only work in the client area. Right click and hit refresh. Oh, there's my invoice. You'll see, oh, the PVL disappeared because there's nothing in it anymore. That makes so much sense. So if ever you're panicked, you just did something and you're like, oh my God, it's not showing up. I just put in an estimate. It's not showing up. I just put through the invoice. It's not showing up. You need to refresh your client. Right click in the client area, select refresh, and that will update this. Okay. So that's like a must do before you start panicking and trying to enter everything again. Okay. Make sure you've refreshed your client. All right. So that is the end of our first day's tasks. So now my challenge for you is to go to the practice activity and do the day 1 practice tasks. It's going to be exactly the same that I just walked you through, but with different information for the client and the patient, and with different information for the for the appointment. So we did a cat scenario. Your scenario to practice is a dog. So there's going to be information that's more specific to dogs. Obviously, they're not going to have a cat vaccine. So I challenge you to do the day 1 tasks. If you have questions, I will be in the chat. You're welcome to pop in there for those questions. You can always email me as well, or we can ask, well, I guess actually today's an asynchronous day, so we won't be in the virtual classroom task. But chat is a good place to find me for that. And then if you get through those daily tasks, you are certainly welcome to continue entering in new patients and new clients to get practice with doing that. Enter in your name, your pet's name, create some PVLs for visits that you're making up, etc. So you're welcome to do as much as you'd like in this tutorial. You don't have to do just the scenario I assigned you. Go ahead and make up some stuff and experiment and fiddle around with some things, okay? These tutorial databases are wiped clean in between each student, so nothing you put in is going to be saved. So no one's going to be able to like access your information or anything like that if you do put that in. And nothing is linked with each other. So your tutorial is separate from every other student in the class and from mine as well. Okay, so that's everything I have for you for now. So good luck working through those daily tasks, and I'll see you in the chat if you have any questions. Thank you.